Hey everybody, it's Patty Dobrovolsky with Up Your Creative Genius and Creative Genius You, the equation that makes you great. Okay, so this week actually is week 24. I know I said that last week, but I was all confused on myself. And this week, really, what we're talking about is turning your world upside down. Now, this whole year has been turning our world upside down, but I want to talk about how turning your world upside down actually is the kind of disruption you want. And you want to be able to just look at this as an opening for you to step into a creative genius you in a bigger way. So I had an opportunity maybe about 4 years ago to do a mural at the Seattle Space Needle. They invited me to do it. I had never done a mural before, but I didn't tell them that. I just agreed and put in a scope of work and got it approved. And then I did what all good people do. I expanded my team to include all my superstars. And one of them, in this case, was Scott Ward, who is an amazing painter in the Pacific Northwest. And he and I have done a lot of collaborations together. He's super fun. And he's an excellent painter. He's just a really unbelievable fine artist, which I'm not. As you know, I'm a quick draw. So in the past, when I would do some big thing, I would, of course, do pen on paper. So what's a mural? A mural is paint. I got to have a painter. So I get Scott. I ask him, do you want to do a Seattle Space Needle thing? He goes, yes, I'd love to. And so we set up these focus groups. We interview all the employees because where they want the mural is at the employee entrance. So as the employees enter, they'll see all the fantastic experiences that happen at the Seattle Center throughout the past and inspire them to go in and just do their best and bring their best to their job. And so we interviewed them to find out their stories. And then I sketched out a draft of all the things I thought might be in there. And then I asked Scott if he'd finesse it, and he did. We turned it in, they approved it. And so then we're on to part 2, right? Which is where we transfer that small drawing onto the big wall. It's 4 feet by 34 feet. That's how long it is. And so we're in there with our little projector, penciling the wall, and that's really fun. You know, I love doing that. That's how I learned how to draw to begin with, right? And so we get it all done, and then we go to the art store and we buy like 1 billion pens, markers, permanent markers that we're going to use, because normally I use markers. So this would be the most logical thing to do. So we get all these different markers, and I had tested the markers on the paint in my garage at home to make sure that they would work. But the morning we go to start to pen on that drawing, on that wall, the paint comes off onto the marker tip. And I'm like, oh my God. It gums up the pen. I show it to Scott. He goes, oh my God. I go, what are we going to do? So we decide to get a cup of coffee. And in that coffee break, of course, my creative genius just drops in and it says, you're going to have to paint it. That's all there is to it. Mural, paint. You can do it. And so I turn to Scott and I go, we're going to have to paint it, aren't we? And he goes, yes, we're going to have to. So we take all those pens back. We get paint. And we get some paint markers that they make, which is just like using a regular marker, except with paint. So after a couple tests with it, I feel very confident. So we paint out that whole wall. I do the outlines, and then Scott comes in and colors, or vice versa. And he does all the beautiful backgrounds, because he's so good at painting. And at the end, it's beautiful. We love it. And I have a picture in the blog so you can see Scott with his cape on, because we wore those capes the whole time. They have the Seattle Space Needle on the back. And, One Direction was performing there. So they walked down the hall and saw us painting in there while the girls out there were like screaming, yeah, and singing all the lyrics to their songs. It was hilarious. Anyway, so that for me was a good example of what happens when things go upside down and awry. Now, Adam Grant, in his book Originals, he talks about another form of things where you actually do Vuja De, which is you look at things backwards as if they've already happened and to the beginning. And so your process this week that I'd like you to try is to use the creative genius equation, but backwards. You want to think about a challenge that you've had, and I want you to think about really if this challenge was solved on the other end of it, what would be the outcome to the infinite power? Like the best possible, outrageous, like let yourself go way out to 2030 and imagine that you've had to deal with COVID all that time. But at the end, these amazing, brilliant things have come out of you and people you know. And it's just awesome. So do that. Then go to drive. What's the deadline for you to do that? Set a deadline for you to get to that outcome. Then go to desire. Why do you really, really, really want this? What about it is so compelling that you must have it? Write that out, your desire. Then use your intuition to come up with processes that you think, anything. Make it up, mash things together. What would get you to that outcome, to the infinite power? And finally, go to your imagination and let it brainstorm for you all the different things that possible outcome could inspire it, could make it happen, could be something that you create that gets you to that outcome, and just brainstorm all that stuff. And I can't wait to see what you come up with, because when you look at things from the outcome point backwards, you learn so much about it. And that's what you want, is all of this is a process for you to repeat, try backwards and forwards until you get to the outcome, to the infinite power. I know you can do it. You'll have to let me know what you find out in the process. So send me an email or text me or Facebook. I don't care. Just send me a note. Until next time, up your creative genius. Let's go do this.